Very pleased not to be joined here at Blogging the Boys by the one, the only Dallas Cowboys legend, Pro Football Hall of Famer, the NFL's all-time leading rusher, Dancing with the Stars champion, and I'm just going to say it, my personal best friend. It is Emmitt Smith. Emmitt, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
I have been to one Pro Football Hall of Fame enshrinement in my life, and it was yours. And every year, everybody talks about how this year's Hall of Fame class is better than the last one, blah, blah. Nobody's touching the class of 2010. Nobody. I mean,
not at all.
Not a single person. Not a single class. You've got the two GOATs. I mean, Emmitt and Jerry Rice. I mean, it has to be something that you've thought about every year for the last 14 now.
No, it's actually nothing that I don't even think about it like that. But I mean, once you're in the Hall of Fame, everybody's a Hall of Famer. So we try to celebrate everybody the same. But I don't know when the last time you've had the all-time leading receiver and all-time leading rusher go into the Hall or go and do something together, or any one of the all-time, any category go in together. So, but I know I'm proud of that simple fact. Jerry Rice probably is proud of it as well. And it is what it is right now.
Yeah, that's really well said. Also, the fact that you two played for teams that battled against one another, I mean, it all just kind of writes itself. I want to start with why you're here today, which is an incredibly noble cause. I've had the fortune of speaking to you in the past on behalf of a few different things, but this is very different in a very important way. Can you please let us know, I want to let you take the floor here, about the Ready to Rescue campaign and what you have going on here.
Well, first and foremost, I'm extremely proud to be partnering in with Emergent for the second year in a row to continue to spread awareness around NARCAN nasal spray and to help stem the tide of opioid overdoses. As a father of five, I talk openly to my kids about different things, about putting the drinks down and so forth and on, making sure they even are keenly aware. They are keenly aware of opioids, as well as the NARCAN nasal spray. So the Ready to Rescue campaign is an initiative to give people an opportunity to be ready for whatever they may encounter. No one knows when or where they may need to utilize the NARCAN nasal spray, because most opioid overdoses occur in homes, and they occur in places that most people may not even realize what's going on. And so the lay, spray, and stay part of what we're talking about with the opioid overdoses is extremely, extremely important. What does lay, spray, and stay means? That means if you find yourself in a situation where you walk upon a person that looks lifeless or look to be just napping, but have some calamity or whatever, lay them down on the ground. Give them a dose, if not 2 doses, of the NARCAN nasal spray, and stay with them. Make sure you call the emergency 911, get help over as soon as possible to try and help this person revive themselves, because opioids is spreading rampantly around the country. Obviously, a lot of drugs and so forth are coming through whatever channels that they get in, and people are taking things accidentally. Some are just don't know what's in the medication or what's in the drugs that they're using, whatever it may be. Those situations are occurring every day. And to be able to save another person's life will be probably the best thing we can do for each other. And that's what NARCAN nasal spray is all about. That's what the lay, spray, and stay key messaging around NARCAN nasal spray is all about. And that's what Emergent and I are trying to help people understand, that we can actually be in a position to save a person's life.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to act like an expert on this subject matter, certainly, but that's why education on this front is so important and so critical. It can and does save lives, to your point. The NARCAN nasal spray, we've linked to in the description down below. This video is obviously on YouTube. Everyone can check out readytorescue.com. You go there, you obviously see, your wonderful face, Emmitt. And I think the tagline at the very top, opioid emergencies can happen anywhere, anytime. You mentioned at home, people keep a fire extinguisher in their house because right. you just never know what kind of emergency can evolve. This is a very similar thing, and having this education, having this knowledge in the event of that emergency that you can't conceive is critical. Especially, you mentioned you speak to your children openly. You just have no idea. Nothing is predictable or forecastable. in life. And so I think this is incredibly noble. There is also, if you head to readytorescue.com, everybody, underneath the picture of Emmitt, there's some graphic presentation or representation of the lay, spray, and stay method. So very, very noble work. And Emmitt, certainly, you mentioned it's the second year you're involved. I mean, the research here is overwhelming in showing that this type of knowledge is necessary for people.
No doubt, no doubt. I think knowledge is power, and oftentimes, we as individuals walk around like, "Nah, this is not going to impact me because I don't do drugs, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not around it." Well, powder, just like anthrax and anything else, just shows up at times, and it doesn't take much to actually send you into an opioid emergency. So, being prepared, being having access to this type of information is all we're trying to do. Just get it at the top of mind. Just be prepared. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. That's just the way I look at it, and that's just a natural thing to do. Just to try to protect yourself, protect your family, protect loved ones, protect our communities, protect our city, our state, and our country. I mean, at the end of the day, we just got to be ready for almost anything.
I think that's incredibly well said. It's difficult to transition from something so noble and something so important to football, as important as football has been in your life and mine, although not to the same degree. Today, the day we're recording this, Emmitt, is Thursday, August the 8th. The NFL's preseason, the first official week, is officially beginning. The Hall of Fame game, we talked about that, obviously, was last week. And I know this is a weird way to start this, but apathy has been a very prominent discussion relative to the Dallas Cowboys. I'm sure you saw Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones. They were asked about fan apathy. Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott. I mean, everybody has been asked about that. You, I would imagine, never experienced that throughout your career with the Cowboys. There was
no, I did not quite experience that aspect of it. But we had some lean years ourselves, and things that I wasn't proud of at the time when we. I mean, you got to remember, my last year was not the best year, period. We did not have a successful football season. But for the most part, my career was pretty positive, and pretty much upbeat. But over the last 20 some odd years, watching our team get to the playoff time and time again, be told that we're going to do better. We're going to be in it. This is going to be a Super Bowl year for us. And we just get completely let down. It's like fan fatigue now. I mean, it's all of that going on right now, and people are sick and tired of watching it, and they want to see something different, and we have to try, and as an organization, we have to go and do a complete assessment in terms of the organization itself. What is our mission? And how does our mission aligns with the football team? I mean, on the surface, we would think everything is in alignment, but to me, I think there's a little disconnect there, and we need to resolve that fairly quickly, because 20 some odd years, man, that's a long time.
You mentioned, obviously, your final season wasn't remarkable, but I would offer that at the very least, you weren't living in the shadow that you cast, right? Every player that currently plays for the Cowboys is trying to live up to Dallas Cowboys legend Emmitt Smith and what you and your teammates accomplished. And I would offer no apologies for that if I were you. I mean, you should be very proud about what you've accomplished. But I do think that fatigue is probably a better word than apathy, because you're right. Like, every year you do feel like Charlie Brown, and then Lucy just pulls the ball out from under you. I used to do a show with Tony Casillas, obviously your longtime teammate, and he talked about how he hated, kind of in a funny way, wearing his Super Bowl ring because it dated him, because there has been such a lack of titles or hardware or whatever. And he talked about how it was kind of annoying. Again, I'm not trying to put words in his mouth, how the current team, kind of benefits from that. He just wanted to see, new things, right? He wants to see that the legacy carried on. And I have to imagine, the fatigue or the apathy or the whatever for you has to be different than it is for the standard fan, because you're a fan yourself now, obviously, following the team. But there has to be some level of like, dude, come on, like we gave you the keys to the castle, and you're letting everybody run wild in here. Restore order to the house.
Well, let me just put it to you this way. The only thing that remains from the 90s are the trophies that we did win and the experience that people had from 1990 or 91 all the way up to whenever they want to say the last great experience was. And the only thing that remains right now is ownership, because everything else is turned over. So from an ownership standpoint, I think mindset in terms of what the owners really how we function as an organization. And there's no question the Dallas Cowboys has functioned at a high level from a branding, marketing perspective. They have done better than most. Hence, that's why America's team is the most valuable franchise in the history of franchises. And when you start thinking about them, especially sports franchises. And so it's, to me, I think when you come into the Dallas Cowboys as a football player, there shouldn't be any questions about what you're about to get into. It should, the brand, it's almost like a reputation. When you walk into the room, before you even get into the room, your reputation is sitting in the room. And everybody know what looks to what they expect. And when you deliver beyond what they even expect, and they walk out of there like, wow. That's when you know you have a spirit of excellence. That's when you know your brand is equally successful because it went before you. There was an expectation, and not only did you deliver, but you exceeded beyond all comprehensions. And that's the way the organization needs to be. The expectations of the football team has to be a reflection of the Dallas Cowboys history. And that means Dorsett. That means Bob Lilly. That means Roger Staubach. That means Ed Too Tall Jones and everything else. Tom Landry. That means Jimmy Johnson, Troy Aikman, Charles Haley, Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith. Look at what we did and how we did it. Go back to the basics. Stop trying to be what everyone else is trying to be. Be who you are and stick to it, and let that be the hallmark of who this organization is going to be.
I think that's really well said, and obviously comes from a place of passion, and I think every Cowboys fan certainly agrees with that. My last one for you, Emmitt, and I would be remiss if I didn't touch on this subject. CeeDee Lamb, at the moment we're talking, is still currently holding out. You very, very famously held out in the 1993 season. Worked out well for you. It was a little bit, touch and go for the team. Charles Haley may or may not have put a helmet through a wall. There's all these wonderful stories about that time. You guys rallied back, still won the Super Bowl. First team in NFL history to ever start 0-2 and win the Super Bowl. You talk about that on the 1993 America's Game documentary. That being said, you've been in the situation that CeeDee's in. Some players don't hold out. Dak Prescott could hold out right now. He's not, as an example, whatever the case may be. Your thoughts just in general on the CeeDee Lamb situation, the contractual plight the Cowboys find themselves in, and how their superstars all need to get paid but still haven't yet.
All right. I had to do this on the previous show that I did. How old were you when I played and when I so-called held out? How old were you at the time?
So I'm a student, obviously, of the Dallas Cowboys. So I've done my research over life, but I was 4 years old at the time that you held out.
All right. So the words that you utilize in terms of holdout were not your words. They were words that you read about and others talked about, correct?
Sure, absolutely.
All right. So here's the thing. Here's where misconception and misrepresentation comes into play. Emmitt Smith never held out. First and foremost, let's make that very clear. And I try to make this clear to people, and they still don't get the message. The message is very clear. A holdout, this is something distinctly different between a holdout and what CeeDee Lamb is doing and what I did. CeeDee Lamb has a contract, and he's still under the obligation to fulfill that contract, correct?
That's fair. Yeah, certainly.
He has years left on his contract, correct?
That's true. Correct.
All right. So with years left on his contract and what he's doing right now is classified as a holdout. I never had years left on my contract. My contract was fulfilled. I didn't have a job to go to. Like most people, if you don't have a job to go to, you can go and apply anywhere and get a job. Correct?
That's true.
I couldn't go and apply to any of the other 31 teams. I only had one team to work with at the time. And when I did have a chance to go to any of the other 31 teams, Guess what? I only had 30 days to do it. So when that window closed and none of those teams offered me a contract, I only had one team to negotiate with, and that was the Dallas Cowboys. So negotiations got strained. And the reality of the fact is they got strained to the point where I missed the first 2 games because Jerry and I could not see eye to eye. And I had earned the right, like CeeDee Lamb is earning the right and has earned the right and has performed over the last couple of years under this particular contract and performed well for the Dallas Cowboys. It hasn't been a problem. Has been a leader in the locker room and has not had any off the field issues. So that in itself is where we're similar. But the reality of the fact is my contract was done. My obligations to the Cowboys was complete. I'm looking for a new deal. That meant if I sign a new deal, I got a new contract, a complete new contract. So with CD and the Dallas Cowboys today, let's make this very clear. He is a very, very valuable asset to the Dallas Cowboys. He is a very, very valuable asset to Dak Prescott. Without him on the football field, they're putting all the pressure on Dak Prescott now. And that is unacceptable because every quarterback of his caliber should have quality people to throw the ball to. Not no plan B or no plan C or no plan D guy. He should be in a position as your franchise quarterback. He should be in a position to be successful. And right now you're putting him behind the 8 ball. And that is not right. And that's how I see it.
Well, first of all, Emmitt, my apologies. I didn't mean to misrepresent your situation.
No. But you're only repeating what the marketplace put out there. And I'm telling everyone else that's listening to your show, it ain't your fault because they lied to the public.
I think that's the important part of the discussion is to your exact point, 30 years can pass by and history can get rewritten or warped or whatever the case may be. And 30 years from now, people may look at CeeDee Lamb's situation and call it something different. Contractual situations have changed in the NFL to your exact point. Now you can hold out. And I think that word was a little bit more taboo at the time. Whereas now it's an understandable point of leverage that CeeDee's utilizing. So again, I certainly did not mean to cast what you did in a negative light. It was just obviously a similar situation.
Once again, I'm going to say it's not your fault. Because the reason why it's not your fault, because this is what some press people do. This is what the NFL does. They put things out there to put this negative connotation against this individual and against me. I'm gonna just say me, but today that is a holdout. Mm-hmm. When you don't fulfill your contractual obligations, either you're underperforming or you're in the real world, you have to fulfill your contract obligation or you don't get paid.
Right.
Period. In the real world. But in the sports world, when you don't fulfill your contract and you try to break your contract to get a new contract, that is technically, and you're not showing up for work, that is technically a holdout. And the way it's characterized has to be corrected so people don't always throw these labels on folks that are unfairly justifiable to that individual.
Well, I will certainly do my best to rewrite history relative to what happened to you in 1993, Emmitt. And thank you for clarifying, because that is important, obviously. People care about Dallas Cowboys history, as you well know. And understanding the exact situation is the most important thing. Also, the fact that you all wound up winning the Super Bowl that year is one of the most important things. So hopefully that happens to CD. I agree with your point that putting Dak in this situation is unacceptable. Thank you for obviously casting some analysis on that. And thank you for the work you're doing on behalf of the Ready to Rescue campaign, Lay Spray Stay, what is happening here. We've gone long, Emmitt, but that's who you were throughout your career. You just went longer than anybody ever expected, whether it was a play, a yard, a series, a career. You are the greatest of all time, and we certainly thank you for giving us some time here today.
No, thank you. And if you need more information for your listeners, go to readyrescue.com or go to NARCAN.com as well.
Appreciate you, Emmitt.